TikTok live. Oh, just hanging out here. Hey, how are you doing, everybody? Hanging out here answering some hydroponics questions today. I've got a new mic, so let me know if you can't hear me. Trying to make this as cool as possible. So this week we got a bunch of questions. I posted a video. I chopped up Monstera and it was crunchy. A lot of snipping. And I got a bunch of questions about the substrate that I put it in, and I just used some Leca. What this is, often people are transitioning their cuttings to water and they just drop the stem right in the water, and that's totally fine. But I actually like to use the Leca because this actually holds some moisture up and away from the roots, so they're not completely submerged in the water. And I've had just really good results with it. So it's called Leca Lightweight Expanded Clay, LECA, Lightweight Expanded Clay Aggregate. So if you call it Leca or Hydroton or Hydro Balls, it's all the same thing. And so it works as a really good substrate. It gives the roots something to kind of grab onto, and it also hides them from the light a little bit, which is super helpful. Oh, hey, Mandy is not with me today, but she is joining live also, so it's super weird. Hello, love. But these lightweight clay balls are just a really great substrate for hydroponics because nothing can grow in these. So fungus gnats, if you have plants that like water, you probably have fungus gnats. They can't grow in this. There's no place for them to lay their eggs. So even though it's wet all the time, there's not a lot of gross things growing on. Bacteria, other stuff, there might be a little bit, but really the only issue you have to worry about is algae if you've got a clear container like this. So really good substrate to use. Lightweight stuff. The only thing that I really make sure to recommend to people is if you buy some of this from Amazon, there are a few options. Hydroton, Hydro Balls, whatever you get, they're all virtually the same. So some are more spherical. The Hydroton stuff is like nice little perfectly little ovals. This stuff is cheap and well, ugly. You can see it's not very round, but it doesn't matter to the plants and it's cheaper. The only issue is when you order it, it might say pre-washed on the bag. It might well be, but think about it. These little tiny clay balls have gotten to you and they've just been rubbing against each other the entire time. And what happens is they get really dusty. Pieces of clay rub off, and so you always have to wash it before you put anything. Otherwise, you're just going to have a layer of mud sediment that has come off of these clay things. In the bottom of your pot. So always rinse them off after you get them first out of the bag, because just from moving around and shipping, they'll have a bunch of dust off of them. Other quick thing about this stuff is it gets everywhere. It just, if you saw in the video, there was just balls all over the floor. That is one downside to this, because if you spill this, unlike dirt, which goes into a nice little pile on your floor, these things will roll everywhere. So they're kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt, but you can pick up a huge bag for super cheap. And I've been having a lot of really good success with it. So, I'll be right back. I gotta grab two things. Sorry, I wasn't prepared here. Be right back. So these guys, here we go. Now I'm back. So I've been doing this a lot with my hydro plants. This is a Monstera that I rescued earlier this year. It was really sad. So I chopped it up and I put it in this little cool glass vase, and with the Leca and nutrient water. So this is got nutrients in it. It's the same nutrients I use in my hydroponic tower, which makes things super easy, because on watering days, I just walk around, and if this looks a little low, I add a little bit. And I love to see this mass of beautiful roots growing in this gorgeous little pot. The other way that you can do it, the roots don't like to see light, peeking into their privacy a little bit. So if you really want to get them going, you can put it in a pot like this, which is essentially just a really, really, really cheap self-watering pot. And it's got a catch po on the back. This is just a plastic pot. And then on the inside, this functions as a net cup. Wow. So you can see this guy's pretty happy in the water here. And got the Leca on top. So you can see the top of this is completely dry. The water in the bottom here, the Leca wicks it up a little bit. Some of these roots are sitting in the water, but the rest of them, it keeps the plant at the appropriate level of hydration. And the plants that I've had growing in water grow faster, and I have less issues with remembering, because this pot especially, there's a gauge on it. It's low right now. I know I need to put a little water in there. It's super easy, way easier than all of the plants I have in soil. I have about 70 now in dirt, and I walk around every 2 days with a little soil checker to try to make sure that I got them all watered. But this is super easy. So thanks everybody for hopping on. If you've got questions or talking about hydro or anything like that, but just talking about my plants growing in hydro. Now the only problem if you put it in a glass jar like that, when it's really pretty and really beautiful. I've got this Maranta growing in some water too. As you can see, it's decided it is going to flower. Haha! This was just a cutting I put in here a few months ago, and already it's exploding. Again, same nutrient water I have in my hydroponic tower. The only problem is with the clear glass, you can see what is that green stuff in there. Oh, gross. Well, it's algae. This plant is going to be fine. I can change it out and clear out the algae. It's a little green and gross. I probably need to do that. But that's the only downside of putting any of your stuff in clear containers so you can see the roots. It's fun, but your plants, they'll grow algae because the light is seeing that. So with the self-waterers, do you need to let them dry out 100%? Doesn't the water go bad? So yes, the water doesn't necessarily go bad, and you don't need to let it dry out 100%. So with hydro, it's a little bit different than if you had soil in there. With hydro, you don't want it to dry out 100% because then your plant is completely dry. This is akin to the cracky method of hydro. It's not exactly the same because I've never gotten that method to work, to be honest. But what I do instead, the biggest thing you have to worry about the water getting old is that there's not enough oxygen in the water. So the reason that my hydroponic tower is constantly cycling this water through is both to reuse it, but also to oxygenate it. So the plants actually need oxygen in the water. And if your water is sitting too long, that's why if you're propagating a plant, they tell you change the water every week or two. It's not because the water is getting bad. It's because there's less oxygen available in the water, and your plant needs that around the roots. So what I do is every 2 weeks or so, during the time I'll just kind of fill it up. Every 2 weeks or so, I'll dump it out, add a fresh water change, and that gives it enough oxygen, and it's totally fine. So every couple of weeks. I have not tried adding hydrogen peroxide. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that would work. I've just done it the old-fashioned dump new water in way. Other folks, there are other methods to add oxygen to your water, though, in hydroponic systems. There are things like little airstone bubblers. Frankly, there's a lot of stuff that works for fish tanks that also works for hydro. So there are other ways to add oxygen to your water, but the simplest way is just change it every couple of weeks. And I think one of the advantages that I have, some people have struggled with, oh my gosh, I have to mix up all of these nutrients and all that. I actually just have a little bucket here that's got nutrient water mixed up. So if I need to put some in my tower, I just dump a little in there. If I need to water my other plants, I take a little watering can around and add it. So it's super easy and convenient for me. So, but again, I can't get over how enormous this Maranta is from a one node cutting probably about 4 months ago. Yeah. So yeah, mold, algae, other things, they can happen. So you just got to be a little bit careful. The difference with the tower, the reason why I don't have a lot of mold or algae problems in here is that I'm trying to block as much light from hitting the water as possible. So this one where the light is blocked and it's dark, no algae problems. This one where the light can see through, it's green. So in our hydroponic towers, we try to block as much light going into the tower as possible because the light causes the algae to grow. It's a photoreactive. So that's why we always have something in the net cups. But even if you didn't have a cover on the front of this, the PVC is thick enough that it really slows the growth of any kind of algae or anything like that. But since we're talking about the tower, I just want to share this update on this kale, which is just enormous. I can't believe how just huge it is. So this thing is actually growing out from over here. It's decided that it wants to be in the middle, and it's just kind of taking over, which I kind of like. I kind of like just the way it looks in my room, but it's going to be a tasty salad very soon. So it's kind of weird waking up in the morning and really appreciating the beauty of a plant, but also thinking about how you're going to eat it later. So that's been fun. Another one that I am really excited about is I'll show you here. Just got to flip my camera around. This is a cabbage that I have growing on my wall, and it's just starting to get that nice little ball in the middle. This is a small one, so it's only going to get to be about 2 pounds. You know, some cabbages will be 20 pounds, and that would obviously fall off. But I'm really excited about it. She's got that gorgeous color. I apologize, the light refresh rate is messing with the signal here, so you get a little flashing. But here's the kale. You can see it's still got new baby leaves coming out there, and these are just, here's my hand for scale. That's the small one. There they are, just big, gorgeous leaves. You actually can't even see the arugula, basil, other basil I've got going on down here because it's just taken over. But I've also got a couple of little, there's a little lettuce, there's spinach, there's a little lettuce, a few other things that are getting going in there. But again, that's a, and I flipped my camera around, you got to see my super messy room. So yeah, literally this is where I live. Great question. Somebody asked, do you light them 24 hours? So the answer is no. 12 hours is what I run mine. You can light them for more or less depending on the power of your lights, the specific thing that you're growing, etc. But typically, I run all of my plants, the 100 or so that I have, on a 12-hour cycle with these same lights, and everything is super happy. The lights are 24 watts. People have often asked, how much power does it take? So one of these 2-foot lights is 24 watts. There are 6 in this tower, but normally we have 8 in a hydroponic, tall hydroponic tower. And so 8 of those 24-watt lights, there's a pump in here that takes 54. So in total, it's 246 watts of power for 12 hours. Because the pump cycles on, you probably just heard it turn off. Cycles on and off in 15-minute increments. So if you're looking for solar or anything like that, it's actually pretty minimal. People have asked me a lot of times, how much has your bill gone up? I mean, I have more than just these lights in my tower. I have a lot of them because my apartment doesn't get that much light. So every single plant in here, with the exception of 2, are lit by lights instead of the window. So my bill has only increased by maybe, before I had the lights versus now, $10, $12. But again, I have my entire front room is just covered in lights. Cool. Any other questions for today? Ooh, Mandy got home. Mischief and Sunshine, we are located in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it is just insanely cold here. I'm sure it's insanely cold a lot of places, but very, very chilly Hold on one second. Manny's going to come join us. Hey, get back. Scoot over. I just got all these plants all over everything. I was showing everybody like mascaras and give a little update on my tower.
I know, I was watching.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were watching. Now you got here.
Sorry, man. You
Welcome.
did great. Good job.
Thanks. I was trying to hold down the fort without you and do my best.
That's awesome.
So did you see any questions this week that we really need to answer?
Any questions this week that we really need to answer? Well, I don't know.
Well, I do think maybe one thing is just to talk about the nutrients a little bit. So folks asked, when you put the cuttings in water, is it just water or do you put nutrients in there? And the answer is yes. So at first, when you first do a cutting of a plant, you should only put it in water. Don't worry about nutrients. If you have a tower like this where there's nutrient water and you want to propagate in the tower, do it. But if you're just filling up a jar to propagate your plant, it only needs water at that point. The roots aren't developed. You're putting in water so it can develop roots, but if it doesn't have developed roots, then it can't absorb any nutrients. It's just going to take up the moisture that it needs to survive and start producing those roots. As soon, though, as it has roots, then you want to put nutrients into whatever water it is that you have, because the plant is looking for those to build the cell structures of, and keep growing.
Yeah. What? I don't know. What do you want me to say? That was great. That was great.
Cool.
I like roots.
Yeah.
Roots are awesome.
A lot of folks have asked also if there are particular nutrients, and certainly there are particular nutrient blends for different kinds of plants, but we've found the general master blend, I think it's actually marketed even as a tomato formula, works super great, whether it's this kale or this monstera. They all get the same nutrients and they all are doing great. Now you could optimize that per plant, but I'm not going to do that for the 100 plants. I'm going to pick the thing that works for everything as best as I can.
Yeah, our nutrient solution is a well-known for hydro. It's the master blend, is a tomato base, but then you adding Epsom salt and the calcium nitrate makes it a nice overall formula for a lot of different plants. For sure. We really haven't tried much for nutrients though. Like, we found this and it works really well, so that's what we use. So, if you guys have some suggestions for things that you like, we like this because it's in a powdered formula. It's much cheaper than something liquid. It ships quickly, faster. I know a lot of people get nutrients. They do like compost tea, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We haven't done that because it's so difficult to be consistent.
Yeah.
So
this is pretty consistent, as Mandy said. It's inexpensive, especially I think I've seen a lot of folks who are trying to do this. They bought the liquid stuff from General Hydroponics, and then they got to measure out all these liquids and try to dump them in. And really, what we do is we pre-weigh out these little packages, and we actually sell them in our Etsy shop as a grow kit. And then it's super easy. Everything is pre-measured, and we can just take it out, do 1, 2, 3, mix it in some water, and then we're done. So it's pretty simple. I think the main complaints of transitioning plants to hydro are the leca gets everywhere, which it does. Got to deal with that. And then the nutrients are kind of a pain in the butt. But the way that I mitigate against that is I just have some mixed up, and it takes me 5 minutes to do it with these little packages.
I think there is some concern though about having nutrient water mixed and leaving that stagnant for a long time.
Oh yeah, you're correct. This is mixed and it's going to get used this week.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean I'm constantly. This is low already. I'm gonna have to use some of it. So yeah, that's a good point. If you're not using it, you don't want to mix it up and leave it sitting around for a month. Yeah, for sure.
And you keep yours covered as well.
I do. Yeah, I mentioned that before. So what do we use instead? So water and nutrients. Yeah, but so in this tower, it's just literally water and nutrients. No substrate. There's a little rooter sometimes that we use to start things, but it's just water. In these, we use the lightweight expanded clay aggregate Leca to. But neither of those contain any nutrients. So the nutrients are all contained within the water. The things we were talking about. When we first started, we were like, how important are nutrients anyway? We don't need them. That was a mistake.
We did? When was this?
I thought that a long time ago.
Okay.
I was like, it was back when we had the little sprayer buckets.
Last year.
Yeah, last year. So it's like, oh, I can grow these cucumbers without worrying. I mean, they like grew up a little bit. They got to this high, and then they just stayed that way for a month, and I couldn't figure out why. Yeah, cocoa coir is a great little thing for these two. We like we haven't used cocoa coir before, but we have the rapid rooter. So it's organic decaying material that they have a special binder that they put it together, and
is it decaying? I thought if it was decaying, that means that bugs would want it to be in there. Is it decaying? Maybe.
Yeah, I think the tree is decayed. Like
Okay.
it's been broken down.
Yeah.
And then they sanitize it obviously through so there's no additional mold or no funguses or bacteria or anything in it. It's just from that material. So it has a lot of nutrients, I guess, so it has to start the decomposition process before they squish it into one of those things.
I thought the actual thing itself has no nutrient anything. It's
No,
just...
yeah, you're right. Okay, well, so all the things that Andrew just said, perhaps we should do some more research before you take them into account, because I think now I am mistaken, so we'll get back to you on that.
Okay. We're still learning.
Yeah.
We
haven't tried cocoa coir. I did try some bamboo sheets, and those turned into snot.
Yeah, so when we first I tried to figure out doing some... it doesn't matter. Oh, basically, we found these bamboo mats, and we cut them up and put them in the bottom of a net cup to try and grow just, with like just the bamboo sheet in the bottom. And having the water go through it, it basically disintegrated it, and it got very disgusting. So would not recommend that. But that's also when we found out you can just put the net cup in the system, and it will grow the seed. You are the Lorax.
Here's a cloning one, that basil.
Oh.
So this one we just cloned. So essentially, I snipped off the top of a basil and then snapped this neoprene collar around it and then put it in the tower just with that bare stem sticking out a few weeks ago. And now here's where we're at. It's got some real healthy roots growing on there. And you see they're all nice and white, which is good. That means there's no algae or grossness going on in there. And the top is starting to pick up again.
How old did you say this was?
I gotta look on the feed. I think I did a video of it, but a couple weeks.
Could probably cut these at this point, right?
Yeah. Why don't we do that right now?
So like Andrew said, he's transitioning a lot more of his regular plants to hydro just because it's so much easier to not have to deal with the bugs and the thinking about when you're going to water it.
And frankly, planting is super easy too.
Yeah.
You just set it in the jar and dump some clay around it, and you're like, if you don't like it, then you dump the clay out and put it back in. I don't know about you, but I've definitely repotted the same plant more than one time when I was trying to get it stuck in the middle of a pot. Or the worst thing is you get it all done and then you're like, oh, but that's like backwards because you got a pot design and you got to move your.
So let us know what questions you have. If you are new to following us, we are Mischief and Sunshine. We grow food and houseplants in our hydroponic towers. And yeah, we're learning about it and trying to help other people figure it out.
Yeah, we love the conversation in the comments on TikTok because a lot of times people will point things out. Someone mentioned to me that we should get a pH pen to help check our pH, and I got one, and oh my god, it changed my life. So this has been awesome.
Yeah, we should try and get one of those EC meters now too, because like we just put the newts in and then the plants eat them and then you just look at it, but apparently you can like measure and see how much they're eating, which sounds great. But we're also trying to do this as accessibly and cheaply as we can because we're in certain situations, you gotta save money when you can. So
yeah, and I think especially we get pushed sometimes. It's like, well, wouldn't this make it more efficient? And the answer is yeah, but then you have to specialize. So if you wanted to run all the same kind of plants in the tower, you could tweak it and make it as optimum for that particular plant as possible. But we're really trying to hit the middle of the road for something that works relatively quickly, but we're not obsessed over, well, it grew 5 days slower, because we're not doing production agriculture. We're growing food for ourselves and for the enjoyment of doing it. So sometimes taking less than the most efficient way is actually a lot easier, and the results are not that different.
Yeah. And our theory is like once you know sort of like about hydro and have the understanding of it, you'll have that the rest of your life. And technology is moving in a certain way that this stuff's going to be a lot more accessible very soon. So having an understanding of it is going to be beneficial for a while.
So Secret Love 92, where can we buy equipment for hydroponics? Mandy.
Well, so we sell a kit on our Etsy with everything cut up and put together in a way that you can buy our hydro tower. We also sell a DIY version that Andrew designed that is a download that will help you. It's got our links to things. It's got tips and tricks. I mean, not that we don't have those in the other thing, but...
yeah, there's just a reasonable amount of prep work that we do for the kits and cutting things down, sourcing some hard-to-get food-safe products and other things like that. So we share with you where we get them in the digital download so you can see literally everything you would need. So... if you want a kit, we also offer that we can, if you do the download and you're like, maybe I should get a kit, message us. We'll give you the amount you paid on the digital download off on the kit, because we really want it to be accessible to everybody. And this is like the cheapest, best system that we've been able to create. Mm-hmm. We've had to live with them in tiny apartments and integrate them into our lives and make sure that they weren't too crazy, and to be able to maintain, because we got to do it too. Yeah. So it's been. Now I'm losing what I was saying. So yeah, cool. We got an Etsy shop. Check it out.
Yeah. Other than that, there are a lot of other hydroponic systems that you can just buy into that are usually all in one. They're going to be like the cheapest one that we've found with lights is like $700 all in, which ours is not that. Ours is all in with light. I mean, you have to buy lights with our system. All in, ours is like $4 or $5. So we're trying.
Depending, depending.
Yeah.
The system itself is less than $3, but then you got to get the lights. So depending on what light needs you have, or if you already have some, it might be less expensive. The only thing about the bigger hydro systems is they often make you buy their pods. Mm-hmm. So they have seed pods that they sell you, and then that connects to a smartphone app. That's cool. It tells you exactly what's going on. I mean, I wish I knew that with mine, but the problem is then you're kind of locked into a system and you don't really learn how it works. And I'd much rather just all of these are heirloom seeds that I can't get in a grocery store are hard to find. So I find that more enjoyable and it works for me. But if you're like, hey, that smartphone app thing sounds great, and you got $700 to $1,200, not going to shame you, because that'd be awesome to have that in your house. The other part of it was just, it was too big for our places.
Yeah.
It's like a cabinet, and this I could build into a wall.
Right.
So.
Yeah, another one I was looking at was, it's beautiful. It's like a, and then there's like a glow thing on top. It's so cool looking, but you need 3 foot by 3 foot space. And that's just unreasonable. Like, yeah.
And to be completely honest, before we built this, we were trying to buy one.
Yeah.
Like I did buy one. I bought a cheap one that totally was crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were trying to buy one, and then we just said, no, the only way it's going to work within the tiny amount of space that we have is to build it. And then we thought, hey, if we have this problem, maybe other people do too, and wanted to share it with everybody. Hence the Etsy shop. Plus, we want to be able to make a living too.
Does anybody have any questions? Let us know.
Well, I think that's...
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. Check us out next week at 11:30, same time. Comment on your questions on our videos. Be happy to answer them here.
Oh yeah, actually, I didn't tell you, but TikTok has opened up for us a Q&A function.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So if you type a question under that thing.
Oh yeah, it's brand new.
Yeah.
So FAQ to us. Type a question. We'll get you back. Sweet.
Thank you.